Good afternoon. Anton Kaminsky for Kaminsky Law with another segment of Legalese. Today we will talk about piercing the corporate veil, which is a pretty complex concept, but it can be simplified relatively easily. What does piercing the corporate veil mean? When you have a corporation in Pennsylvania, the corporation is typically a way that people insulate themselves from liability, which means that if your company gets sued for something that they did, if you're a contractor and it's a negligent install, or you're a business and it's a breach of contract, the corporation is the only one that can be held liable. That is what the corporate veil is. So you as the shareholder or a member of a company should not be allowed to be held liable for the acts of your corporation when you are acting in furtherance of the company's interests. So as long as you're doing what the company's supposed to be doing and you haven't done anything wrong, typically the corporate entity cannot be pierced to go after you personally. However, there are instances where a person can be held personally liable for something that the company or the corporation did. And that is in instances where the corporate veil, as it's called, is pierced. When a court is deciding whether or not to pierce a corporate veil, they're going to look at a couple of different factors. Usually no one factor makes the determination alone, and they balance and weigh certain factors. So let's talk about what some of those factors might be. Number one, and this is usually the one that's the easiest to pierce the corporate veil on, is if you use the corporate entity or the corporate form to perpetrate a fraud on somebody. So you use the company to engage in fraud. So instead of engaging in fraud personally, you're engaging in fraud on behalf of the company. Let's say you're a contractor and you install windows for a living. Well, you enter into an agreement with somebody to install 50 windows, and they pay you $50,000, let's say, to install 50 windows. And let's say they pay half of it up front, $25,000 for you to go buy windows, and then they'll pay you $25,000 more when you install the windows. And instead of installing windows or even buying windows, you take the $25,000 and you gamble it away. And now you're delaying. You've now used a corporate form to perpetrate a fraud on somebody, again, because somebody personally might not want to give you $25,000, but they're giving $25,000 to your company to go buy windows, but you didn't actually do that. So again, you used a corporate form to perpetrate a fraud on somebody. It is likely that a court might look at that situation and decide that not only should your company be held liable, but maybe you should be personally held liable. On the flip side, if you're a individual that has been harmed by a company like this, you want to pierce not only the company, but to sue the person individually to potentially recover money in case the company is bankrupt, or in case the guy collected $25,000 from 20 different customers and then bought himself a nice new house or a nice new car, but the company itself is bankrupt. So if somebody's used a corporate form to perpetrate a fraud against you, or if you are a business that wants to make sure that you can't be held liable for something you did, give us a call at Kaminsky Law. As always, consultations are free. We're happy to talk business disputes, all sorts of contracting matters, and anything else that might be an issue.